got to know knowledge are we I give that just for being you must be absolute predator we do not
Welcome everybody to the monthly anime night of Parasyte the Maxim. This is a review of the anime Parasyte from top to bottom. If you have not seen it and plan on watching it but don't want any spoilers, go away. If you would like to actually watch it, I recommend you Crunchyroll, who has a crazy bunch of anime variety, and you can get free trials on crunchyroll.com/Misty. It also helps me out at the same time, so everybody wins. With that out of the way, let's go on with the show. First of all, I'm not gonna lie, this anime is a masterpiece in its own right. I thoroughly loved it. I'm not gonna lie and be like, this show's okay, it had good points and flaws, but overall wasn't it? No, screw that, I freaking loved it. If this anime had a dick, I would probably suck it. Hashtag no homo. However, the show can also have some flaws that I'm hoping to point out at some point. Parasyte the Maxim, or by its Japanese title, Kiseiju Sei no Kakuretsu, is a 24 episode long anime. It's a complete anime, created by Madhouse. By complete, I mean the story begins and ends with what the original manga was. It's a truthful representation, and we all know how rare those are with anime. There is no English dub available at the moment, since acquiring the license is always a tedious process for Sentai Filmworks, who are the producer, but here's to being hopeful. The story, however, is where this whole show shines best. It sets you off with Shinichi, your average high school student, with not much of a prospect on life, but he likes to listen to music when he sleeps. Elsewhere, we see some spore-like blob land all over the city. Out of them emerge some snake-like insects who dug themselves into the brains of humans via their ear canal. Now back to the main character who's listening to music. Since he has earbuds, well, the parasite has no choice but to dig itself in the arm of Shinichi, hoping to reach his brain. But it fails, and his hands get a mind of his own. Since both Migi, his hand, and Shinichi are set on survival, they have to fend off all the other complete parasites who are trying to take them out because their merging was a failure. Overall, it seems rather basic, but the appeal of the show lies all within Shinichi as a protagonist. If you love character development, strap yourself in, cause it's one of the best I've seen in years. Where you see Shinichi grow from a coward to a straight up badass.
Migi, 防御頼む。
防御。すごい。
To someone with morality issues.
増えすぎた人間を殺すため、地球を汚した人間を減らすため。
Loving someone, wanting to protect them, yet avoid them so they don't get involved, and then things never turning out the way you planned them. A lot of people dies within the show, but they each have a meaning. But I'll get back to that. The voice acting is spot on. The actor delivers the line with emotion, and you can tell that they really feel the way the protagonists do.
ここに来るって分かってたよ。感じたの。
The soundtrack, however, is where all the ahs should be. There's one song called Next to You that plays often throughout the whole show, and it's shiver-inducing every time. It has different tempo and an amazing build-up. And that's not even talking about the opening and ending. Now moving on to the part I really want to cover, the whole psychological aspect of the show has to offer. As the story begins, Shinichi gradually befriends Migi. While both of them have different focus in mind, Migi prioritizing survival and Shinichi minding his humanity.
そう、あいつの言う通りだ。なんで俺はこんなに落ち着いているんだ?
As the story goes, Shinichi reaches a point where his mother gets murdered and he has to accept the fact that it's now a parasite in her body. Since he can't resolve himself to kill his own mother, he freezes and gets stabbed in the heart. Migi is gonna heal him and Shinichi is gonna try to find her again, this time to kill her.
Shinichi、念を押しておくぞ。
なんだ。
いいんだな、殺して。
いい。あんな奴がこの世をうろついてるって想像するだけでたまらないんだ。
On the side you have Tamura Ryoko, who's also a parasite, but one who likes to experiment. She's gonna have sex with another parasite to produce an offspring who turns out to be human. As time goes by, she grows rather fond of the baby and changes her focus from eating humans to a diet similar to one humans have. Her bloodlust withering down with time, telling Shinichi to not bully her kind. However, Shinichi doesn't quite understand what she means by that when she says it before she passes away.
なかなか気分が良かったぞ。
たとえどんな辛い時もその言葉が
And then you have the whole love triangle deal with Murano and Kana. Ever since the beginning, you can tell both Shinichi and Murano shares affection for each other. That is, until Kana comes in. She has the power to detect Parasyte, but she mistakes that for a special bond of fate linking her and Shinichi together, which will eventually get her killed. Because once again, Shinichi wasn't there in time. When that happens, he snaps and cranks up the badass meter. Yet, it doesn't save Kana. When attending her funeral, a fellow friend of Kana challenged Shinichi and asked him why can't he cry. And this whole thing throws a wrench that's gonna send him spiraling down.
教えてくれたあの言葉が胸のなんでそんなにすぐに寝る
Is he still human? Parasyte made him stronger, more prone to survival, more logical rather than emotional. You can't really be human when you have a parasite taking over your body slowly. And then you get a random part in a building for a few episodes to give some bad guys the exposition they need, and then it concludes the love part of the show with Shinichi having sex with Murano. For one of the rare time in anime, it's a meaningful moment. It gives Shinichi a motive to keep living beyond the survival aspect.
清潔だなんてよく言ったけど、俺にそんなこと言う資格はない。結局は自分のために周りの何かを踏みにじって生きている。
And then it's time for the final bout between Goto and Shinichi. Not wanting to involve civilian, they kind of fall back to the outskirts of town.
だけが反射的に後藤の統制を離れ。
Lots of fighting, and Migi sacrifices itself to save Shinichi. This is the first time you see a parasite show any kind of empathy for someone. Shinichi does what he do best, and panic. He runs away like a little girl and get refuge in a whole lady house for a few days, before manning up and going back to finish the job. Migi was still alive inside Goto's cell, and he returns to Shinichi.
Yeah.
Protagonist finish off Goto and calls it GG, but then there's a giant philosophical question about is it right to kill something even if that thing kills humans? I could write a whole essay about the matter, and in the end it's philosophical because it depends on your point of view about the subject, so I'll glance over that part and move on to the ending. Final episode has some people upset about the ending. They think they had an anticlimactic one, and I'm here to tell you the exact opposite. The ending was magnificent. After spending some time in Goto's body, Migi got power boosted so hard that he needs to sleep it off, probably until the lifetime of Shinichi is over, which he does and disappear. A little after that, Murano and Shinichi go shopping, and Murano gets kidnapped by a killer we've seen a few episodes ago. Wanting to know the truth about Shinichi, he blackmails him by threatening to kill his girlfriend. When Murano refuses, she gets thrown off the balcony, and Shinichi dives in to save her. But again, he wasn't there in time, and she falls to her death.
Migi!
いつまでもメソメソしてるんじゃない。疲れるから自分で持ちな。
Or she should have. Migi, feeling the desperation of Shinichi, woke up one last time and reached out to her in extremis. This time he does save her, and the show hands on a moral that's wonderfully put. No matter who you are, we're all here in the world for a small time, and despite everything, we only want to reach someone.
何かに寄り添い、やがて命が終わるまで。
As I previously mentioned, while I personally considered this anime great, it still has some flaws. Most of which confer to the adaptation. The original manga came out in the 80s, yet when they made the anime, they tried to give it this modern outlook, with cell phones and technology. Some characters act pretty stupidly too. The SWAT team charging in after another team got slaughtered before even reloading their gun. And obviously there's the cheap cop-out ending where the final boss dies from basically tetanus. But hey, if you look past these hiccups, you're left with a pretty sweet ride. So this was my monthly review of Parasyte the Maxim. Once again, it's an amazing anime that people should experience for themselves. If you've seen it, please let me know what you think about the show. Do you share my opinion about certain aspects? Come again next month where I'll tackle Mysterious Girlfriend X. Make sure to watch it in time for my next review. It's fairly short anyway. And if you're looking for a place to watch it,